Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Colt Model 1911A1 in the years 1940 and 1941. Now in 1940 the U.S. Army ordered 2,468 of these, that was the end of 1939. Delivery began in April of 1940 of those pistols, and then there was an additional 2,225 ordered in mid-year, and delivery beginning in about October of 1940. Now, with war in Europe, more funds were made available to ordnance, and therefore more contracts were awarded to Colts. And Colts started to increase their workforce and increase their production of the pistols, of course. Now, at that time, Colts was the only manufacturer of the 45 service pistol. And we'll see a few changes take place in the pistol in 1940. Plastic stocks, as you see on this one right here, were approved as a standard alternate design. Now, the first stocks were made out of a plastic known as Colt rock, and that proved to be too brittle. And they came up with an improved material called Colt wood, and there was no major use of the plastic stocks on the pistols in 1940, although you will see a few examples such as this one right here. Now, the inspection marks on these were, of course, right here underneath the slide stop, and we have CSR, which is Major Charles S. Reed. Now, he was still stationed at Colts as ordnance inspector there, but there was a little bit of a change in the way that these inspection stamps were done. What happened was, by 1941, the administration of all outside contracts, including inspection and acceptance, was delegated to the ordnance districts. And the person that was in charge of the ordnance district that fell into Colts was Colonel Robert Sears, which is the RS stamp you'll see here. And the CSR stamp was used up till January of 1941, and then we see the RS stamp start to take over at that point. Now, some of the things that took place in 1941 is, at the beginning of the year, Colts was producing approximately 1,500 pistols per month, and they were able to increase that to just over 5,000 by December of 1941. And another major change that took place during 1941 was plastic stocks became standard at about 730,000 serial number range, and wallet stocks are then phased out. Now, the other major change we'll see in 1941 is parkerizing, as you see in this example of this pistol right here. Now, the parkerizing had been used at Rock Island Arsenal since 1918 on service rifles and on some refinishing of pistols. Now, the gray color of the parkerizing had an advantage, of course. It's not as reflective, and it passed the military salt spray test, which the bluing was weak in that area. Now, the parkerizing was first used at Colt in May of 1941, and there was a transition between the bluing and parkerizing, and during that transition you'll find pistols with blued parts in them. Now, the only requirement was that the frame and the slide match, so they could put the blued parts on those, and it would still be accepted. Now, for those of you not familiar with the parkerizing process, I wanted to just do a brief history of it, and it's really a pretty old process, first experimented in England in the 1850s, if I remember correctly. The first patent was granted in 1869 to William Ross of England, and then a second patent in 1906 to a Thomas Coslet of England. Now, Coslet filed for a U.S. patent in 1907 for iron phosphating, and then in 1913 Frank Richards was granted an improved patent for manganese phosphating. Now, Clark Parker acquired the rights to Coslet's and Richards' U.S. patents, and by experimenting in his kitchen and home And with that and other rust-resisting formulas, he was able to take and form a company with his son Wyman called the Parker Rust-Proof Phosphate Company of America, and he did that in 1915. Now, there was several small changes to the parkerizing process over the years. One, there was in 1928, they were able to reduce the time by about a third, but it was still very costly. The manganese compounds required for it were difficult to obtain, and they were expensive, and it was a very energy expensive process. In any way, there was a major step made in 1938 by the American Chemical Paint Company, and they were granted a patent for their zinc phosphating process. And then there was a few other improvements after that, but basically that brings us up to 1941, where Colt's started with their phosphate, or their parkerizing. Now, they had a process called Parco-Lubrite that was introduced in 1943, but I'm not going to get into that in this video. And anyway, that's some of the changes that took place in 1940 and 1941. I think I've pretty much covered everything that I wanted to get done in this video. So you can see some of the ways that we're getting up to World War II and the production of the 1911A1. Now, the next videos we're going to be into the World War II production, and then we'll backtrack a little bit to the educational contracts that were awarded to Singer and to Harrington and Richardson for studies on how to produce these pistols in large volumes. Okay, well, that should cover it for today. I appreciate everybody tuning in and watching. I just want to say thanks to all the new subscribers I've got out there, and thanks for watching these videos. I hope you enjoy them, and have a great day. All right, bye.